Welcome back to another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show. And I want to say thank you for joining me today as we go deep on pain, performance, and how to perform at your absolute best. Whether you're an athlete, whether you're a senior, your mom and dad, whatever you do. This episode is going to help you. I have one of the world's leading experts in the world of biohacking. Yes, biohacking. I recently wrote a book called What's Next. And in What's Next, I share my top biohacks that I have used personally myself to get myself out of pain, improve my own fitness performance. And today I actually have that leading expert in the house. His name is Dr. Mike DeBord. And Dr. Mike DeBord is the founder of B3 Sciences and BFR, blood flow restriction. And I got to be honest with you. I started using BFR in the middle of one of the most challenging times of my life in 2021 from physical pain. Have you ever been in pain? Pain is not fun. Pain zaps your energy. Pain takes everything away from you. And when you're trying to serve thousands or more people, it's not fun when you're trying to motivate and inspire and you're in pain. So I'll share this in today's show a bit, but so that you know the story. In early 2021, I was diagnosed with a very serious back condition, not only stemming from my professional football career that ended in 1995, a 3 herniated disc, spinal stenosis, degenerative back disease. Fast forward to 2021 in the middle of the pandemic and trying to save my own gyms around the world, save the world mentality, and telling people to get on my back. My back literally broke, and with a 32 degree curvature of the spine, discs that were blown, and potentially needing a very, very invasive surgery, I sought out every possible solution, hack, person that could potentially heal me. And there were a lot of different things that have helped me stave away surgery at this point and get back to feeling good again and not being in the pain that was like a 9.5 on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being the worst. So early in 2021, after I was diagnosed, I started using something called BFR, blood flow restriction. A friend of mine introduced me to Dr. Mike DeBord, and I started using the B3 Sciences BFR bands when I needed to work out, but I couldn't work out nearly at the intensity that I wanted to or needed to. Forget trying to get six-pack abs. It was more about how to get my mind right. And BFR, blood flow restriction, had at that time become a very important part of my exercise regime. While I had used BFR with some of my elite athletes in years previous, it was now a part of my own routine. And since that time, including right now as I speak, blood flow restriction is a part of my overall routine and my fitness performance and fitness protocol that I use. And I shared in the What's Next book. If you haven't gotten the What's Next book, it just came out a few weeks ago. Pick it up on Amazon. But today, you have the great opportunity to hear from Dr. Mike DeBord and all that he has done, because he's been a chiropractor of over 20 years, retired from his chiropractics because of pain. And then he had a double hip surgery, hip replacement. And we have a lot of commonalities, and he drops a lot of wisdom on today's show. Number one, about pain and how to get out of pain, with BFR being part of the solution. And also, when you use BFR from a hormonal response standpoint, why could BFR, blood flow restriction, be a part of helping you release hormones like growth hormone, testosterone, IGF-1 to help you get the right, correct hormonal response when exercising without using heavy weights or 90-minute workouts to have to really hit the optimal level. So you're going to learn a lot today. And Dr. Mike is a scientist. He's going to give you a lot of the science and methodologies behind BFR training. I hope if this is the first time you're hearing of BFR, blood flow restriction, you can start to investigate it. In the show notes at any time, I'll drop some links in here. You can educate yourself. My hope is that you educate yourself about what is BFR, and if the episode speaks to you, try it. try BFR and see if it's something that gets you the burn like we're going to talk about today. Without further ado, let's jump in with Dr. Mike DeBord right here at the headquarters of TDE and FQ10, baby. Let's go. I'm so fired up right now. Dr. Mike DeBord, the man, the myth, the legend is in the house. Dr. Mike, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Great to be here, man. I just had one heck of a weekend. Couple days with you, man. You talk about excited.
Hey, fired up. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm fired up for the podcast. Before we even talk blood flow restriction and BFR and all these great things that you're doing now in the biohacking world, you understand performance like few. And you've been a sports chiropractor. You were a sports chiropractor for 20 something years, and then you had to retire due to pain and could no longer do that in your occupation. Step back now after 2 hip replacements and having to retire from a career. Take me back to before you even got into all the BFR world and what you're doing and living now. Take me back to when you're in pain, your world of retiring from a very successful career in chiropractics. Bring me back to the beginning and how you got into all the BFR and what you do now.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of people out there, right? We hit 35, 40, 50.
Yeah.
And we don't feel 20 anymore.
True that.
Right? And things start hurting. And then it interferes with our life. And then, you get to the point where you can't even get in the gym anymore and keep your muscle. You talk about a gut shot. You had guns and abs your whole life and you can't get them anymore. Wow.
Why were you in pain? What was going on?
Oh, geez. Knees are beat up, back, hip, had a first knee replacement, then had 2 hip replacements. And
from sport or from lifting?
Lifting heavy weights, couple accidents, but mainly lifting heavy weights my whole life, right? We want those guns.
How many years did you live in pain?
Oh, geez, probably started in my mid 30s. And then I just stayed in that pain for 15 years, keep trying, hanging on for dear life to keep that muscle, in the tone.
Were you pain pills or just popping Motrin?
You name it. Ibuprofen, ice, injections, you name it, to stay in the game, right? To stay in the game of looking good, feeling good, staying in the gym.
Yeah. It's interesting. As I shared in the intro, the last few years for me, I've shared this publicly in going through now 2 knee replacements myself. And part of that led to a back flare up of a previous football injury that ended my professional football career. It's actually how we actually got to know each other over the last couple of years. Pain's not fun, especially when you're serving people. You're trying to serve people in pain, and you're when you're in pain, you can't think clear. I always had this thing. Started as a massage therapist and went into the training world and combined them. Is like I call it the pain fear cycle. Pain creates fear, and fear creates pain. This nasty loop, the pain-fear loop. Pain, when you're in pain, you're fearful of you can't do your job. You can't serve in your career. You can't work out the way you want to because you can't feel the way you want to. That creates that fear. And what does fear do? Fear creates and produces more pain. And before you know it, you're in a really bad place, and then you become your pain.
Yeah.
And it's a really bad place because it's how's your knee? How's your back? And you become that. And I'm like, wait, I'm not my knee or I'm not my back. And everyone's asking you about your knee and your back all the time. And you're in pain. You're like, man, I don't want to be my pain. So you live that life for 15 plus years.
Oh, yeah. And then you can't throw the football with your kid, right? You can't go out and golf with your buddies.
Yeah.
I mean, your whole world changes when you can't exercise anymore because you've got some limitation.
Yeah, folks, if that's you today, if in any way, if you had a setback, you had an injury, you pulled a hamstring, and you're like, man, I didn't feel like this, or even to the point where maybe you had a replacement, or you're someday going to need a replacement. Maybe the doc say, well, you're a couple years away from that. Dr. Mike has turned his health around. He's doing amazing things now, but I always like to talk to people who've experienced pain at the level that I've experienced, physical pain, and how that's been part of your story, and how sometimes your mess becomes your message, and what you do on that. Go a little deeper as far as your joint replacements, and even going back to, I know what you're doing with your joint replacements, your rehab of your joint replacements. When did you ultimately retire from chiro?
Yeah,
when was that?
After the first knee replacement. If anybody's had major surgery, that's tough to get back to your normal life. And then what most people realize is it's not just one problem. One problem leads to another, like yours. Everybody out there's, they pull an Achilles tendon, then their knee goes out, then their back hurts, and then it just compounds.
Big time.
Mine got to where then it was a hip, and then it just, I just couldn't treat 40, 50 patients a day, or, I couldn't even sit at a desk for 8 hours if I wanted to do a desk job. It's too much pain.
After my second knee surgery, 6 weeks after that, speaking of compensation, Dr. Mike, 6 weeks after my second knee surgery, my back started hurting. When the back started hurting, I immediately said, okay, the knee and the back work together. What's going on here? When they did that x-ray and revealed a 32-degree curvature of the spine, I was like, oh boy, we got a problem here. That was 2021. So 2021, that's when I discovered and started using I was doing everything possible to get out of pain, because when you're in pain, you'll do anything to get out of pain so you can do what you're supposed to do on that. And that's why I started using your BFR bands and everything that we've been talking about for a year and a half now, you and I. When you were in pain, you ultimately found some Japanese secret. Yeah. Talk about that, because it's part of what you're doing now. What's this Japanese secret that you sought out? One
of our top Olympic doctors, Dr. Jim Stray-Gunderson, good friend of mine, called me from Japan, said, hey, you ever heard of BFR? I figured out what the Japanese athletes were doing. We thought they were cheating. We thought they were doping. Greatest biohack I've ever seen. And we're talking about one of the top performance guys in the world. Bodie Miller, Lindsey Vonn, Michaela Shiffrin. This is the guy that trains these people. He's like, no. He's like, I'm going to bring it back. So after he got a little training and he brought some of these BFR sets back to the United States, I tried it. It just blew me away. Imagine you have not felt the pump or the burn since you were 20, 25 years old, and all of a sudden somebody gives you something and you're doing something super light and you feel the pump and the burn again. It's like, oh my gosh, somebody turned the light on. And immediately I'm feeling like I did when I was 25, 30. I could exercise again, which we're going to get to.
What year was that you found?
2015. So 7 years ago, I experienced it. I was like, it was one of those quantum shifts. I'm dropping down and doing a few push-ups. My chest and back, feel like I just worked out for an hour. I'm walking up and down the steps, which anybody can do. Felt like I just did a 30-minute workout, but it didn't hurt. Nothing hurt.
When did BFR start in Japan? When did this whole science start?
It was accidentally discovered in the 60s, but it took this Dr. Sato until about the early 2000s to perfect what he'd figured out.
Is he considered the father?
He's the grandfather.
What's his name?
Dr. Sato. He's got doctors doing it. They got kiosks in malls where people walk up, put them in the mall and go walk around. Olympic athletes doing it, kids, animals. It's just, he's got a massive amount. Yeah, he's got goats and dogs. He's doing this on.
Dr. Sato, he's still living?
Yeah, still living.
In Japan.
So this is a staple in Japan. They've already made this complete shift to how you exercise.
So you find in 2015, start using it yourself and say what to yourself? Oh my gosh, I can.
Oh, wow. I feel 20 years younger because I'm elevating growth hormone. We're going to talk about that. I can exercise again. I feel like myself. I'm not in that fear pain loop anymore, right? You just talked about. Start putting muscle back on. Six-pack comes back. And I'm working out 10, 15 minutes a day doing something light. Completely changed everything. And then, I was already set in life on a career path. I'd already built a company up in 10 countries with my partner. And I just walked in one day and I said to my partner, Michael, I got to go.
Come on.
I got to go. He said, you realize you're leaving everything behind. I'm set for life. Millions. It was coming. We had already built this. 12 countries, this networking company that we built. I said, I got to go, brother. This is my calling. This grabbed a hold of me. And
you saw, you felt it, and then you saw where it could go.
Right. And then my faith kicked in, right? Because I'm a guy who helps. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could help so many people. My son, my mom, and then, just all these people. Then we ended up helping you. And it wouldn't have mattered if there was no financial reward. I was just going down this path.
Interesting how your mess did become your message, right? Your path was revealed through pain. Just so that we don't lose what really BFR is, blood flow restriction. When you talk about, you go to a kiosk in a mall in Japan and they're doing BFR. Explain to our listeners today, what is it? Like when you say blood flow restriction, it's a great biohack, but what is it? What's the actual, if you're watching, you see Dr. Mike right now has got these two cuffs around his arms. Well, explain what is BFR?
Well, let's talk real quick about exercise. You know the difference if you go out and walk the track or you go run the stadium stairs. You're going to feel the burn.
Yep.
You know the difference if you go for a walk or do some light exercise and you go bang the ropes. You know the difference between getting on the treadmill and just going nice and easy, or getting on the Peloton and climbing hills. What happens? You feel the burn. That burn is what causes your body to change. And, you know, I've been traveling around the country teaching people, look, if you're not feeling the burn, you're wasting time.
And you say feel the burn. Are you talking about lactic acid?
Lactic acid,
okay.
Right?
So because when there's lactic acid that builds up, you're going to get testosterone growth hormone, IGF-1.
Everything's going to change.
Nitric oxide. Okay.
Everything's going to
Just
change.
so I make sure we're talking turkey here. So obviously when you get, quote, high intensity interval training or high intensity training, you're going to get lactic acid buildup. When you got lactate that builds up, you're going to have this hormonal response. Right. Hormones are going to make the transformational physiological change and psychological. Okay. So I got it.
Yeah. So real quick, what does Harvard tell seniors? Strength training. What are they saying? You got to get the burn. You got to get a little lactic acid. You got to keep your growth hormone elevated. So let's back up here. 95% of us can't do that. Time. It's too hard. We don't like the burn. It hurts. We got a physical limitation like you and I have dealt with. This Japanese doctor figures out that, hey, what if exercise, we only had to do 20% of the work? What if you didn't have to run the stadium stairs? What if you could just walk the track? What if you didn't have to lift 50-pound dumbbells? What if you could lift water bottles in your house, or 5-pound dumbbells at the gym? Or you're a mom and you could just go up and down the stairs and you could feel that burn. And he developed this technology where you put these bands on your arms and legs, and all it does is it slows down oxygen. Now, how could we relate that? Everybody's seen somebody that puts an oxygen mask on when they're on the treadmill, right?
Yep.
What are they doing? They're reducing oxygen when they're exercising through their heart and lungs, and it improves cardiovascular health. You might have heard of altitude training.
Absolutely.
This is like putting an oxygen mask on your arms and legs. Your arms and legs are going to have less oxygen to work with. So I'm going to go up and down the steps. There's less oxygen in my legs. So I'm going to go up and down once or twice the steps. It's going to feel like I'm climbing Mount Everest. It's literally going to create lactic acid really fast. But here's what's crazy. It's safe. You don't hurt.
So if you could visualize right now, these cuffs are going to occlude slow down
blood flow safely
to your two limbs and your lower body as well, right? Your lower body, your two legs and your two arms. When you say safely, what's the difference between BFR and I'll just go to the extreme, using a tourniquet?
Yeah, that's the difference. You don't want to cut off blood flow. That's dangerous.
Correct. Keep going.
This is slowing it down. Imagine just turning the garden hose down a quarter of a turn.
Yep.
Then you start exercising, and there's actually more flow than at rest, but it's not as much as would be there if the bands aren't on. So now the muscle has less oxygen. So imagine, instead of having to exercise at an intensity of a 10, you only got to exercise at an intensity of a 5. And you're producing lactic acid. Muscle just doesn't have as much oxygen to work with.
So if it doesn't have as much oxygen, what happens?
It fatigues really fast.
Okay.
Walking feels like running.
Okay.
Light weights feels like heavy weights. Getting on the vibration plate feels like you got a 100-pound, jacket on you. But it's something anybody can do. And then all of a sudden you're producing lactic acid. And everybody knows the burn, right? You get the burn, the lactic acid, and then you get growth hormone. Things are going to change fast in the human body. Now,
Dr. Mike, truth be told, before I met you, in working with athletes for 25 years now, in the late 2009, 10, 11, I had several athletes that used to come in and use BFR.
Yep.
In the rehab world, it's been around for a while. And I knew about blood flow restriction in the rehab world. In the last few years, because of guys like you, it's become much more prevalent in the fitness world. In the fitness performance world. Also with seniors, there's a lot more people who are starting to get the word of, hey, you mean I can train not as hard with as heavy a weight and get similar results as if I used to bench 225, but now only do 165, 185, or whatever it may be on that. What's been that Do you believe the transition from the athlete world, especially in recovery and physical therapy, now it's making its way into the mainstream of people of any fitness enthusiasts, especially 50s, 60s, and 70-year-olds who want to maintain their health and vitality? Why are they now getting into BFR?
Well, if you look at Japan, it's already there.
Yep.
It's in home exercise.
Yep.
Over here, it made sense with athletes and rehab. It's a no-brainer.
Yep.
But somebody had to take the ball and push it up the hill for home exercise. I mean, that's what I was willing to do because I just believed what it was going to do. It wasn't easy in the beginning. We had, when you get out there and tell people, hey, exercise in 5 to 10 minutes instead of 45 minutes. But now, 3 years later, there's celebrities doing it, famous doctors doing it. And it's heading towards everybody that's listening, home exercise and personal training and fitness.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like instead of flying from New York to Chicago and then LA, remember when we couldn't fly all the way across the country, we had to stop? And then we got direct flights. This is a direct flight. Yeah. You don't have to stop anymore.
I don't like stopping anymore. On flights, I don't like stopping anymore. Right. I want direct flights coast to coast. Especially now that you lose bags, all this stuff. Yeah. By the way, I actually now travel with my BFR bands.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that. Got to get the direct flight. Hormones. Hormones are, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but look at anti-aging and where things are at with anti-aging, and everyone wants to feel younger. I know I do. Anyone else want to feel younger? Anti-aging is a huge industry right now. Talk about hormones and blood flow restriction. What are those? Why is it important to have testosterone growth hormone, IGF-1, for men and women?
Well, let's look at what all the researchers tell us. They say
Talk to me.
Vigorous exercise. And here's the point most people miss. They leave out the word vigorous and they think going for a walk is vigorous exercise, and they don't feel the burn and they don't get any growth hormone. When you read what Harvard says and all these institutions, vigorous strength training, what are they saying? You need to train your muscles so that you create lactic acid and elevate growth hormone and maintain muscle. You need to do cardio exercise that's vigorous enough to release nitric oxide and cause cardiovascular benefits. Getting on the treadmill for 30 minutes, la-di-da, listening to your favorite playlist is not what they're talking about. They're talking about, you got to feel the burn, right? That's what they're talking about. So here comes BFR now, and it's like this incredible biohack that anybody can go do something for 5, 10, 15 minutes and get exactly what Harvard's talking about. Vigorous strength training to maintain muscle, vigorous aerobic exercise to maintain cardiovascular health. And what does that do? Turns on hormones. And then everybody's heard about growth hormone, right? But they think, I go get the injection, 3,000 or 4,000. But what they don't know is you've got growth hormone sitting in your pituitary gland your entire life. So every listener on here has as much growth hormone in their pituitary gland as they had when they were 20, whether they're 30, 80, 60. They got it sitting there. But the only way you can get a big surge of it anymore is you got to do vigorous exercise. You got to exercise and feel the burn. And I teach people, most people will exercise to the burn. And then they stop. Well, the burn's where it starts. But that's the problem. It hurts. It's too hard. We can't maintain it. Our back hurts, So now we can go get the burn really easy with the bands and elevate growth hormone. You talk about your world changing when you turn on growth hormone.
The burn with BFR. I like that. The burn with BFR. So who should be using BFR? Everybody? Should seniors? Like what's your thought?
My answer would be, if you're going to fly, you want to stop in Chicago and then St. Louis, you want to go straight coast to coast.
So tell us more then about, if you're going to use it, how would you use it? When we worked out back in 2021, you came to Fitness Quest 10 here, had the BFR bands on, and we did very lightweight and some body weight. And it was, if I normally do, I was going to say 100-pound dumbbells, bench press. That's not what I use though. But we use like 30 pounds, 15, 20 reps, boom, banged it out. Supersetted with lat pull downs, 15, 20 reps, supersetted 3 sets back and forth. And then we went right to kickbacks, dumbbell tricep kickbacks, bicep curls, but we're using 15 pounds instead of 30 pounds, half the weight.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was fried, by the way, for all you upper body freaks out there. How do you use the protocol? Is it body weight and very lightweight with high repetitions every workout? 1 or 2 workouts a week? How do you recommend using BFR?
Well, we got 4 types of listeners. We got people who aren't exercising. They like to walk, play a little pickleball.
Pick it up.
Like to, Do a little light exercise is all they're willing to do. So
Wait, pickleball?
Yeah.
That could be vigorous now.
Oh, yeah.
We can get vigorous with pickleball.
Yeah, we can.
Breezy, what do you think? Keep going.
So imagine going for a walk with your dog, putting the bands on.
Yep, love it.
Doing some, like when the dog stops, you drop down and hold a little squat like you're in a skier's position. No weight, but you feel the burn.
Wait a second. You said you could walk the dog with the BFR bands. You said in Japan they put it on animals. Can I put the BFR bands on Jersey dog? That's the question. Can I put the BFR bands on the Jersey dog, on the golden? Can I get him out there and all of a sudden the Jersey dog who just turned 9 years old, he's getting spry and energetic and feeling good. Jersey dog, you better be careful. Dr. Mike said I can get your BFRs going. Keep going.
And we got the people who used to exercise.
Yep.
That's a whole population.
Interesting.
Imagine putting these on at home.
Yep.
Or joining your local gym in 10, 15 minutes, doing something light, like some light cardio, some light weights, some body weight stuff. Stuff that they've done before they can do. Now we got the gym crowd. We got the personal training crowd. You put them on them, and just like you said, we cut the weight. We do a little higher repetitions. And they get a pump and a burn they've never experienced, and you elevate growth hormone. So everybody that's already working out, you're talking about significantly higher growth hormone. Now let's get into athletic community.
Okay, it's four.
From all levels: kids, middle schoolers, high schoolers, collegiate, amateur, recreational. You put these bands on, and anybody listening who's an athlete, you already know the answer. What's going to happen if you get a deeper fatigue in your training?
Mm-hmm.
You go a little further, you know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be faster, quicker, stronger, bigger, more explosive. You're going to jump higher. You're a volleyball player, you're going to jump higher. You're a speed athlete, you're going to run faster. Endurance athlete, your times are going to come down. Power lifter, your weight's going to go up. Why? You're hitting a deeper fatigue with the bands on.
How much research have you done on this?
Well, I've read every study. I've read over 400 studies. I mean, massive amounts of studies.
So there's 400 studies from independent researchers at
University of Texas, Scandinavian Journal of Medicine, Japan, University of Alabama's done a study. So peer reviews. I mean, there's a massive amount of literature.
So if someone says this is too good to be true, what do you say?
I said, well, it is until you try it. Sounds too good to be true. Then you put the bands on, you experience what you and I experienced. I mean, we have housewives dropping weight like they can't imagine because they're elevating growth hormone. We have amateur athletes that are competing at a level they never competed at.
How do you use the BFR bands? Like Dr. Mike's personal routine. Do you use them every workout? Do you use it for 15 to 20 minutes or 45 minutes?
Well, to answer that, would I want that direct flight to the results of exercise, or would I want to kind of stop over? I've never exercised without them. I'd have to do 2 to 3 times the amount of work. It would take me longer. It would hurt more, and I'm going to get less lactic acid and less growth hormone. So for me, at the point where I'm at in my life, which is a lot of listeners, right? We don't necessarily have to be in the gym for an hour anymore. No pain, no gain. We want efficiency and we want results. For me, this is all I do. And how many minutes typically would a workout for you be? Shortest 5 minutes, longest 18 minutes. The longest workout you do is 18 minutes. 18 minutes. Interesting. Yeah. Never go more than 20. There's no need. How do you feel now? Hips, joints? Well, I mean, my pain's probably at a level of 2 or a 3 when it was a 9. Interesting. Got my 6-pack back at 58. That's really, ladies with, they got certain things like the arms. We all want that 6-pack. I got my 6-pack back at 58, and I work out 5 to 18 minutes and I eat whatever I want. I was just going to ask you nutrition. Have you really cleaned your nutrition up? Nah, I haven't changed a bit. But what would you rate on a 1 to 10 scale your nutrition overall? That's probably 6 or 7, but I didn't change it when I put BFR on. So think about it. If I elevate growth hormone at whatever I'm doing right now, that's going to increase metabolism. Yep. It's going to put more muscle on my body. It's going to take fat off. Yeah. So all I've done is basically turn back the clock 20 years on my body. So you founded B3 Sciences 2018, correct? Yes. In the last 3-4 years, you've immersed yourself 110% into spreading the gospel. What makes B3 Sciences and what you do with BFR different than any other BFR company? Well, number one, the technology in the bands. We've got a special technology so it doesn't work like a tourniquet. It's super comfortable. It's super safe. We've got safety studies. So first of all, we're the only company that has safety studies. That means people with physical challenge, cardiovascular challenges can do it.
Yeah.
Number two, we provide coaching. Nobody's providing coaching. You get lifetime coaching.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure you can use these, get them on, which anybody can, and you find something you like to do. My preaching is, don't do what I would do. Do something you like to do. Because if you're doing something you like to do, in 30 days, you're going to still be doing it.
Yep.
And then you're going to be doing it in 90 days. We're going to change the game on your health.
Yeah.
If I put you in a rigid program, you're going to bow out in 30 days.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. Folks, BFR, blood flow restriction. I'll give you all the information afterwards, but I got to be honest with you. In 2021, I was down and out. Physically, the worst pain I've felt since 1995 when I blew up my back with 3 herniated discs, spinal stenosis, degenerative back disease. And there was a point where I couldn't exercise because I was in so much pain. And you just said to go out for a walk. I couldn't even go out for a walk around the block because I was in so much pain. And if you've seen my x-rays, which I have shared publicly, you're probably like, I understand, or my MRIs. And I wasn't working out for 6-pack abs or even to get my arms back. I was just working out to get my mind right.
You got your arms
I'm
back.
getting them back, right? But I really, truthfully, was just trying to get my mind right.
Yeah.
And at 51, I couldn't lift heavy like I wanted to for several reasons, including my back. I couldn't lie supine on a bench to lift 135, let alone 185 or 225 or anything else, because my back was so jacked up. When I was introduced to you by Amber Kivett, and using this, I would literally be doing bear crawls in my backyard, 3 to 5 yards forward, 3 to 5 yards back for 10 minutes or so, simply to move, to get my mind right, but to feel like I had a great workout in, because I couldn't even walk because it hurt. I was moving to try to get my mind right. It wasn't about 6-pack abs at all. To this day, honestly, as much as I love moving, it's less about vanity, although we all want to look better. It's more about, man, I need all cylinders firing. I need all the different synapses, the thousands and millions of synapses firing in a day. I need them on point. This morning, Dr. Mike, I went for a great walk, the longest walk I've been in a long time. BFR bands on, rocking and rolling. The Jersey dog didn't have the BFR bands on him, but even to the point where I'm now traveling with him most days of the week. Now, where you say, 15 to 20 minutes max, unfortunately, I'm a knucklehead, folks. Sometimes I'm like, well, if he says 20, I'm going 40. So sometimes I go a little longer. But also, what I've been using with my clients is sometimes at the end of the workout.
Yeah.
We do a regular workout. In the last 10 to 15 minutes, I want just the final push, the final squeeze. I call it the and then some, the grand finale. We'll get the BFR bands on at the end, and the little secret that we haven't shared publicly is then I'll put the BFR bands to get that final little squeeze, to get everything out of their muscles, and give them the edge, and to learn how to push through fatigue and pain is as much mental as it is physical as well. But ultimately, it comes down to hormones for men and women. Hormonal response is everything. And for me, they've been a big part of my recovery process in the last year and a half since I've been using BFR regularly in most of my workouts, not all, but most. It's been a big part of not only my recovery, but getting back to where I'm feeling good and moving better, and I'm no longer in pain. And I think there's lots of things I would say, BFR cured me. I don't think it's a cure. I think it's a great hack that you can use to improve your fitness performance, where I just used it with athletes back in the day. Now I'm encouraging all trainers, coaches, fitness pros, fitness enthusiasts, people who want to get their health better and look at hacks, nutritional hacks, biohacks, body work, cup, everything that we're doing. And BFR has been a big part of that. Dr. Mike, is there anything else about BFR that you think that our listeners should know and learn about BFR before even experiencing it?
Well, I think the versatility of it. There's something for everyone. Everyone can do some kind of exercise. There's severely injured people. There's, the whole spectrum from elite athletes down to people. I've got stroke patients. I got people in wheelchairs. We can put the bands on them and get a little burn in one of their muscle parts. So my message is this, that there's a biohack out there that helps people get back in the game, whatever you want that game to be. You don't have to settle for not exercising anymore. This can help you get back. in a big way.
Especially if you're in pain. Guys, if you've been in pain, you know it's not fun to be in pain. Or if you're just looking for an edge and you're stuck and you're plateaued and you can't get there, definitely check it out. Here's the thing I would say is, have you ever thought to yourself, it's too good to be true? If you think that, like I thought it, you got to try it. So the only thing I would say is try it.
Yeah.
Right? Is if it's for you and you try it and you feel it, then great. Use it as part of your arsenal. And if it's just, you get a set for yourself, awesome. Then get a set for yourself. But there's many times I hear of different opportunities or different tools or techniques or gadgets that come out, and I think it's too good to be true. And I would never say to do anything that I haven't tried, because I've tried a lot, including BFR. And it's been a year and a half since I've actually talked publicly like this and asked you to come out here to be on the show, because I believe in BFR. I believe in B3 Sciences. I believe in you, Dr. Mike, because of your story. And I wanted your story to be told today because of 2 hip replacements, because the pain you went through. You gave up a chiropractic career of over 20 years of serving people and could no longer physically do that, to then having a very successful business that you gave up because your calling preceded what you were doing at the time into the last almost 5 years now. Since starting B3 Sciences, you're all over the world teaching. One of the things that separates you from the other companies out there is the education. I love how much you and your daughter and your family is educating the B3 Sciences team. You're doing classes. You go to your platform, and my gosh, you got more workouts and different ways to do it. It's not like, hey, buy a pair of BFR bands. Good luck. Go on your own and do the arm farm workout. You actually have protocols, and I know I'm looking forward to actually creating some of the workouts over the next few months and hopefully years, where you'll see yours truly not only doing arm farm but some other workouts too. But you already have a platform, and I love that. And I thank you for all you're serving, because you're making people healthier. And the bottom line is, guys, gals, y'all have to commit to doing the work. And when you're doing the work, you might as well do everything you can, hormonally, nutritionally, physiologically, psychologically, to put yourself in a position to win. And I believe what you're up to, Dr. Mike and B3 Sciences with your BFR, has been a huge hack, I know, for me personally. And I thank you for all that you're doing with others professionally as well.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, if we can help people get back in the game, right, whatever their game is, we're on the right path, thanks to God.
Amen to that. There you go. B3 Sciences, BFR, blood flow restriction training. I'm going to drop some links into the show notes. If you want to do more research, then just do more research. I'll drop all the show notes in there. If you want to pick a set of your BFR bands up, I'll drop that in there as well. You can use my initials, because I'm going to be getting these things up on my site so that you can get them as well. If you'd like to try them out, do so. If you want to come by Fitness Quest 10, if you're ever in San Diego, I've got some BFR bands here. I'm using them with my clients as well. But check it out. Now that you've heard it, it's probably the first time you actually heard of BFR. If you're in the sports training industry, maybe you've heard of it before, but it certainly can be part of your arsenal to make all people healthier. Dr. Mike, thank you for what you do. I can't wait for the world to get to know you even more. BFR is certainly going to make a lot more people healthy. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Todd.
Man, oh man, Dr. Mike DeBord, thank you. Thank you for dropping so much wisdom on us today. Folks, whenever I'm bringing in the field of health or fitness or performance, biohacking, we get great responses from you. And whether it's nutrition, whether it's speed training, performance, whatever it is that can help you, thank you for your comments. And if BFR is something that you're now intrigued at, remember, in the show notes, there's a lot of great information and resources and science that you can investigate. If you want to try BFR for yourself, you can pick up a pair of the BFR bands. I have a specific website. We're going to get your best pricing. It's just td.b3sciences.com. Very simple. td.b3sciences.com. When you pick up a pair of your B3 Sciences BFR bands, I've got a library of different exercises that not only have I shot, but also that Mike, as he talked about in today's show, he's got exercise protocols, he's got a ton of education there at that. So check out the site, td.b3sciences.com. If you'd like to pick up a pair of BFR bands, I do know this, you're going to certainly help your own hormones get right when you're working out without the same crazy weights that you always use. It's been a part of my protocol now for a year and a half. And it's taken me a year and a half to really share at the extent that I am today of how it's become a part of my arsenal, but it has become a part of my daily or weekly routine. I'm traveling with my BFR bands, and it's part of how I'm training folks today as well. If you're in our Fitness Quest 10 community, and we've got some bands here, you can always try them out unless you want your own set. If you're not in our Fitness Quest 10 community, then you can get your own set if you like to. Reach out and do that. I think all of us are on this quest for how can we be our absolute best self. When we're in pain, it's no fun. Can I get an amen on that? It's no fun. So if you're not in pain, celebrate good health. And if you're just looking for an edge or you're looking to get out of pain, I believe that BFR is one of the top biohacks that you can use to optimize your own health, vitality, and performance. So folks, thank you so much for listening today. Get after it. Remember to continue to train hard, eat right, live inspired, and don't forget the burn. Go create impact today. Peace. God bless. Yoo-hoo. Me again. Yup, you thought you were done. No. If you have not yet got the God-Sized Dreams Planner 2023, today is your lucky day. It's time to start framing up 2023, and I'm so fired up for all of the great revisions that we did for the GSD, God-Sized Dreams Planner 2023. I got a whole brand new annual strategic plan, some deeper questions than ever before, a brand new daily, weekly, and monthly calendar. All of it's in there. Check it out. Oh, and by the way, the sister companion to the God-Sized Dreams Planner 2023 is the Impact Journal. Hey, TD, I want to get journaling. You're talking about it for years and years, but I haven't yet done it and I don't know how to start. Simply start by picking up the Impact Journal. Yes, I just released my Impact Journal for the first time. It's got your morning journaling routine and the evening journal routine. Why? Because when you can bookend your day with a morning and evening gratitude session, I promise you the questions I ask and the answers you give in the morning and the evening are going to set your life on fire. Get the Impact Journal and the God-Sized Dreams Planner 2023, and I promise you, you're going to be framing up your best year and your best life yet. Get it today, ToddDurkin.com, God-Sized Dreams Planner 2023, and the Impact Journal is here now.